So with me now is Graeme McGowan, who is a cyber security advisor with the training company UK Security Partners. Graeme spent 30 years in UK government, some of that time with an intelligence agency. Graeme, welcome.
Thank you, Richard.
Could you just tell us briefly, what do you think the main cybersecurity threat is for business in 2018?
Okay, very good question. Having worked in this sector for the last 10 years, it's becoming increasingly evident that the word cyber is a misnomer.
Right.
Cyber threats are the converged issue of managing your risks, whether that's what you do in your personal life, what you do in the personal life you take to business,
Yeah.
and you will do the same wherever you are. And there are some major issues out there.
Is there any specific examples you can think of recently? Because you consult a lot with businesses, they tell you their problems.
Yeah.
Any howlers that you can think of?
Where would we start? I think human stupidity is a good place to start. And I do an awful lot of lecturing around various business sectors. And we do a lot of talking about the insider threat, which I consider the biggest threat that's out there. A recent talk I gave, there was a lot of concern by a major company in the UK where they were keeping a record of everyone's username and password in a little black book.
Right.
So that somebody could complete the deal if somebody was on leave.
What, a physical book log?
A physical book.
Right.
I did not know what to say. What about the cleaner coming in? 2 weeks later they rang me up and said, we've now got rid of the book. I said, what are you doing? Keeping it on sticky notes under the keypads. And that is how simple it is. And it's simple things like the IT department not doing the patches as they should be. We do that at home.
Right.
It's done automatically by a lot of people. Windows operating system does it automatically. But probably 90% of people don't even know that.
Right.
So they need to change the settings. Because as you perform online,
Yeah.
you take that into the office.
Yeah.
And social media is another big area of concern.
Yeah. So we saw last year the big ransomware attacks, didn't we? We
Yeah.
saw the WannaCry attack in May
Yeah.
2017. What, in your mind, is likely to happen this year around sort of malware attacks? Do you think it's going to get bigger?
I think so. There's going to be a big growth area because
Right.
it's such a simple tool to deploy for the person that wants to get at you.
Right.
Again, we're back to that education process where every business should be performing regular educational programs where they're testing staff on phishing emails, how to recognize them, what to look for. Even when you know what you're doing, like I think I do, I've been attacked and done.
Yeah.
So nobody is safe, and you need to manage that risk very carefully.
And we've seen countries get themselves into difficulties. You know, back in September of 2017, President Trump launched denial of service attack, or his cyber command did, against the North Korean intelligence agency. You know, we've seen the Stuxnet attack allegedly by Israel and the Americans back almost a decade ago now against sort of the Iranian nuclear weapons program.
Yeah.
Are the public beginning to understand that there are these cyber wars going on, or is this something that's science fiction still?
I think we're slowly getting there. Some previous presentations I give were about cyber being the new battleground.
Right.
We've seen land, sea, air, then we saw space, and now we are in this thing called cyber. And because again, it is so easy to do, and you can hide yourself away anywhere in the world. And we saw in the election campaigns the potential for manipulating results.
Yeah.
There has been denial. However, there are indications that that could have happened in the UK,
Yeah.
and certainly in the States.
And here we are in Victoria, in London.
Yep.
Just a few metres away is the National Cyber Security Centre that's been set up by the British government over the last 18 months. Do governments need to establish these centres, and if so, what do these centres need to do for their businesses and for their
Absolutely.
public organisations?
Yeah, I think it's been a big step forward for UK PLC.
Right.
The major issue we've got is resourcing. From what I can see, the NCSC are only able to look at the major issues, critical national infrastructure and the big players. The biggest threats are the small SMEs globally and the supply chains, and they haven't got the time to do that. So there's a massive target out there that they have no capability of helping.
Right.
And threats move on so quickly on a day-to-day basis. I struggle to keep up with it. How on earth they do, I do not know.
Now, a lot of businesses are now aware about the European Union General Data Protection Act coming into force at the end of May 2018. Is there anything that companies should be doing at this point to prepare for the enforcement of that act?
Well, they should have already done it. We've had difficulties in London with people understanding what's going on. I believe London is in denial. Some work I did with the London Chamber actually showed that people will not report cyber incidents or whatever.
Right.
So again, we're back to the education. These people need to know what to do with GDPR. My consideration with regards to GDPR, it's a business enabler.
Yeah.
They're holding people's personal data, and they should have things in place to protect that data. And that's not happening. The major one for me is audit. They need to audit everything they've got on people's personal data. That might be on paper, it might be in cupboards. And if you consider a law firm, they've got masses and masses and masses of personal data. That's a big job, and they should have started a year or two ago.
Okay. Graeme, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
It's been really interesting speaking with you.
Excellent.
And we wish you well in your teaching and your cyber security consultancy in the future.
A bit like walking through treacle, we will get there.
Excellent.
We will get there. Thank you.
You.